Welcome to the 34th Annual World Congress on Illumination. I'm Patricia Cota-Robles, and this is day 2 of our Planetary Reboot. I mentioned yesterday that the legions of light throughout infinity, in the full embrace of our omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent Father, Mother, God, the cosmic I Am, all that is, have projected their infinite light into the atmosphere of Earth. These beings of light have created a magnificent amphitheater that encircles the entire planet Earth and extends into the heavenly realms as far as the eye can see. They have projected their luminous presence into this amphitheater and will remain there throughout the week, flooding each and every one of us with their infinite light to assist us in co-creating the planetary reboot for our beloved planet Earth. It is perfectly logical that the question would be, why in the world is all creation, all of the legions of light from all systems of worlds, and the entire divine matrix of our Father, Mother, God, focusing on this one tiny planet? The reason for that has been shared with us by the Company of Heaven. They said the Earth has been selected for a unique experiment that has never been attempted in any system of worlds. Never has a planet that's fallen to this depth of pain and suffering through the free will choices and how humanity chose to use our life force and our creative faculties of thought and feeling to experiment with creating patterns that were not based in love, resulting in every malady of pain and suffering existing on this planet. When we made that choice, it was referred to as our fall from grace. Never has a planet that's created this kind of pain and suffering been given the opportunity to move through two-dimensional shifts in such a short period of time in the natural evolutionary process as we ascend up the spiral of evolution. On this planet, we began to experience in myriad ways all kinds of pain and suffering, which caused us to close our heart and to block the flow of divine love from our Mother God that activated our right brain hemisphere, our creative, intuitive mind, and the love nature of God flowing through us. Yesterday, through the unified activities of heaven and earth, humanity en masse reached a critical mass that allowed our Mother God to begin the reactivation of our right brain hemispheres and opening our heart chakra to full breath. As the polarity of God and our right brain creative intuitive mind is opening to greater and greater levels, the spiritual brain centers within our physical brain structure, our pineal, pituitary, and hypothalamus glands, and the ganglionic center at the base of our brains are being activated. This allowed the I Am presence of every person on earth to open the crown chakra of enlightenment and Christ consciousness to new breaths. Our Mother God and our Father God and the legions of light are elated with the light that was able to flood the earth yesterday in preparation for the activities of light that will unfold this sacred and holy day. Each and every one of us on the planet is part of this unique experiment. And at the latter part of the 1800s, our Father, Mother God, and the Company of Heaven evaluated the progress of humanity to see if we were going to be able to fulfill this unique experiment that literally affects every son and daughter of God throughout the whole of creation. It became clear at that point that humanity was found wanting. At that point, our Father, Mother God sent forth a clarion call into the universe, asking for sons and daughters of God from suns beyond suns and galaxies beyond galaxies, as well as all of the evolutions of Earth, who would be willing to volunteer to embody on Earth during this time to hold the focus and stay focused on the light in face of the incredible purging and clearing and cleansing the Earth would have to go through in order to succeed in this experiment. The beings of light said billions of souls volunteered, but volunteering through a heart-based willingness was not enough. The life experience of each soul was evaluated by our Father, Mother God, and each one was to see whether or not through their life experiences, they were able to resist being pulled into the chaos and rather stay focused in the heart of divine love and stay focused on the light in the face of all adversity. Our Father, Mother God said that for every one of us embodied on earth at this time that made the decision and the choice to come into the physical plane, there were literally millions that were turned away. Not because we're more special or more evolved than our sisters and brothers, but rather because it was perceived that because of our unique experience, we had a better chance of staying focused on the light in the midst of the chaos. Now, every single man, woman, and child on earth is playing a unique facet of the divine plan. Some of them are being used as catalysts to bring the negativity to the surface to be healed and transmuted and exposed in the light. But those of us that have been magnetized to participate consciously in this planetary reboot through our I Am presence were chosen specifically so that we would be able to hold the immaculate concept of the divine plan and serve as surrogates on behalf of all humanity during this miraculous moment of this planetary reboot. Yesterday, and the expansion of divine love that was reflected through the heart flame of every man, woman, and child brought into balance the masculine and feminine polarity of God within every person's heart flame. This is a process that has been unfolding for a very long time. And around the world, lightworkers have been awakening and remembering the presence of our Mother God and focusing on the divine feminine and balancing those energies. What has occurred now that the beings of light want us to understand is that we reached a critical mass that allowed this transfiguration to occur within the heart flame and the right brain hemisphere of every man, woman, and child belonging to or serving the earth at this time, whether he or she is in or out of embodiment. And just to gently explain what critical mass is in this instant so that we can all understand the magnitude of what is occurring at this time, is that the beings of light have shared with us that in quantum mechanics or quantum physics, when an electron, for instance, is raising in frequency of vibration, when it reaches a critical mass of the higher vibration, it creates an unstoppable shift and it moves into the higher frequency of vibration, absorbing any of the remaining energy that hasn't quite reached that frequency yet. Now, there are all different kinds of variables that determine when something reaches a critical mass. So that we can understand this in very tangible terms, the beings of light have encouraged us to think of critical mass as 51%. So in this example, when an electron is rising in vibration, when it reaches 51% of the higher vibration, the scientists are observing it, and that critical mass absorbs the other 49%, and the electron instantaneously disappears in the lower frequency and reappears in the higher frequency. That is exactly what is happening on planet Earth, step by step, as we move through these monumental shifts and changes, moving into higher and higher frequencies of light. So yesterday, we had reached a critical mass that allowed our Mother God to once again activate the right brain hemisphere of every man, woman, and child on Earth through their I Am presence, whether they were consciously aware of it or not. That activity of light then flowed through every heart flame, and the pink flame of divine love anchored within humanity's hearts was brought into balance with the masculine polarity of our Father God. When we closed our heart center with the fall of humanity and our Mother God had to withdraw her light, our right brain became almost dormant, and our spiritual brain centers atrophied, causing our crown chakra of enlightenment to close. And when that happened, we were barely able to receive enough of the love nature of our Mother God through our right brain hemisphere and our heart to sustain brain consciousness. When that happened, we began creating this fragmented, fear-based aspect of our lower human ego. And this fear-based aspect could no longer communicate the power of our Father God balanced with the love nature of our Mother God. So as our fragmented ego began existing in the outer world, with our crown chakra closed, no longer able to receive guidance and direction from our I Am presence and the company of heaven, it made the erroneous decision and conclusion that our physical body is all that we are, and that the physical plane is all that exists. So it perceived its actions through its physical, etheric, mental, and emotional bodies. And it came to the fateful decision to decide that its purpose and reason for being was to gratify the physical senses. So utilizing the masculine polarity of God in ways that were not balanced in love, it came to the decision that whatever it needed to do to fulfill that instant gratification of the physical, etheric, mental, and emotional bodies, which it believed was all that it was. When it made that fateful decision, that part of us came to the conclusion that whatever it needed to do, lie, cheat, steal, or kill, would be appropriate. So what is happening now is that we are looking at the outer world, and we are seeing the end results of that fateful decision of our human ego that has been manipulating us and controlling us now for eons of time. So through this process and through these decades, gradually, slowly, our ego has been reflected through the consciousness of our I Am presence to awaken it and to have it realize that that is not who it is. But our ego, being fear-based and fragmented, has fought tooth and nail to allow the I Am presence to take command of our earthly bodies and to prevent that from happening in any way, shape, or form. Because our ego believed that if our I Am presence took command, that it would die and it would cease to exist. And I mentioned yesterday that it's not illogical that that fragmented part of our consciousness believes that, because when we fell into such denseness and lost our awareness of the love nature of God and began believing and functioning from this patriarchal consciousness that we had a single parent and that that single parent was our Father God, and that there was no balance with the love nature of God, that fragmented part of our consciousness believed that our physical body is who we are. So it felt that with that knowledge and with that knowing, whatever it needed to do to cling to this body was right and appropriate. So no matter what we would try to do through our awakening consciousness and our I am presence to get back on a right track, we would have this incredible resistance from our lower human ego. All we have to do is try to improve our diet, and immediately we start craving every single thing that we're not supposed to eat. That's our ego, terrified of having us succeed in raising up to the full embrace of our I am presence. If we make the decision to improve our disposition and to be more friendly and loving and less tumultuous and angry, all we have to do is make that commitment, and the next 5 people that come into our sphere of influence push every button we have to make us angry. Everything that we try to do, we create and we experience this incredible resistance. So the reason that part of us felt that its purpose and reason for being was to block our movement into the light and gratify the physical senses, and that it needed to do whatever it could to survive, is because we believed we had to kill it. We were told that we were worthless sinners and worms in the dust, and that we needed to do whatever we could to suppress all of our earthly desires. And we took vows of celibacy and vows of poverty and self-flagellation and all kinds of things that would result in the mortification of the flesh. So that just caused our human ego to become stronger and stronger and try to hold on more intensely. But actually, that had the opposite effect of moving us into the light. It caused us to give up because of the incredible resistance we had. And we chalked it up to not having any willpower, or that God was ignoring us, or that there was no part of us, or that we were being tested, and all different kinds of things that allowed the ego to keep holding on to us and developing more and more intringent ways of interfering with our divine plan. So now, in this moment, our Mother God has taken full dominion of her rightful place and is balanced with the magnificent masculine divine power and divine will of our Father God. Now the company of heaven wants us to understand some incredible steps that have been taken place this year that brought us to this particular point. We have shared these steps, step by step, through our newsletters and our weekly vlogs in Era of Peace. But today, our Father, Mother God, and the company of heaven want me to reiterate some of these steps very briefly so that we can see the magnitude of this opportunity today. During the 34th Annual World Congress on Illumination last year, which took place in August of 2019, we reached a critical mass that allowed the I am presence of every man, woman, and child to activate the initial impulse of humanity's 12 fifth-dimensional crystalline solar strands of DNA. This is the DNA that pulsates through our I am presence and through our fifth-dimensional crystalline solar light bodies. So for the first time, that frequency of light began flowing through humanity's earthly bodies. Now, our fifth dimensional crystalline solar strands of DNA contain the entire divine potential of our I Am presence and all of the patterns of perfection that we will be able to manifest that will assist us through our genetic codings to manifest the infinite physical perfection of our physical, etheric, mental, and emotional bodies. With that activation, light was integrating gradually and slowly as we were moving through the various months in preparation for the birth of this new decade, 2020. During that time, the activation of the 12 solar strands of DNA that resonate with the frequency of our I Am presence were activated to the intensity that the beings of light revealed to us, allowed the I Am presence of every person to transmute the wounds of our earthly bodies within our genetic structures from our fall from grace. These wounds were referred to by the company of heaven as enslavement codes. These are the codes that our fragmented and fear-based human ego encoded into our shattered and short-circuited double helix DNA for eons of time, literally probably hundreds of lifetimes, creating a very distorted karmic birth template that we brought into embodiment in our earthly bodies lifetime after lifetime. So what occurred prior to the birth of this new decade is that the enslavement codes, the wounds within our DNA from our fall from grace, were healed by the light flowing through the 12 solar strands of DNA from our I Am presence. And that allowed the cords that had connected us to this karmic birth template to be severed. Now, the beings of light said for us to understand the magnitude of what that means, those enslavement codes and that karmic birth template that manipulated our earthly bodies after the fall contain the distorted and mutated gross genetic codes of aging, disease, dysfunction in our emotional and mental bodies, as well as death that we have experienced in abhorrent ways over eons of time. So when those cords were severed and that karmic birth template was transmuted into light, the wounds were healed in the enslavement codes. It paved the way for humanity and Mother Earth to move into an entirely new frequency of vibration, birthing this new decade. This new decade began with a wonderful, powerful eclipse series that began on Christmas Day in 2019 and was completed on the weekend of January 10th in 2020. During that eclipse series, in the full embrace of our Father, Mother, God, and the company of heaven, with these newly healed bodies, planet Earth and all her life were able to complete our ascension process through what the beings of light referred to as the 13th gateway, which was a critical part of our evolutionary process and our ascension into the fifth dimension. As we passed through the 13th gateway, the doors to the old Earth, the carbon-based planetary energies that contained all the mutated patterns of our old fear-based human ego and the wounds and the karmic birth template, were permanently sealed, and we moved into the initial impulse and the full embrace of the fifth dimensional crystalline fields of the new earth. Once that occurred, it allowed the I am presence of every person to activate higher frequencies of light through our 12 fifth dimensional crystalline solar strands of DNA than we have ever experienced. And through several activities of light that took place beginning with a planetary shutdown and timeout that we started experiencing with the coronavirus, it began activating our transfiguration codes. When the completion of moving through the gateway completed, the beings of light told us that we have moved into the full embrace of the new decade, and that during this 10-year period, humanity will be able to empower the latent powers within us and literally transfigure our earthly bodies and the planet into a heart-based patterns of perfection of the fifth dimensional patterns of the new earth. And we are going to be receiving assistance from the heavenly realms, assisting every man, woman, and child with all of the legions of light focusing on us in ways that have never before been attempted. Now, the reason the whole of creation is focusing on this one tiny planet is because when we God victoriously complete this ascension into the new heaven and the new earth, we are taking our collective experience with us. And that whole experience of our fall from grace and what happens, the horrific pain and suffering that is created when we make the free will choice to use the precious gift of our life force to create patterns that are not based in love. That entire experience is going to be encoded in the halls of knowledge in the inner realms. And from this moment forth, that sacred knowledge will be available to the sons and daughters of God through all creation. Never again will the sons and daughters of God, out of curiosity, make the free will choice to experiment with our gift of life and then struggle through weeping and wailing through our valley of tears, through trial and error, to find our way back to the light. They will be able to learn what not to do through our experience and through the encoded lifetimes that will reflect the pain we have experienced and how we finally progressed on our journey back to the light without ever having to go through those personal experiences themselves. So once that is now complete, what that literally means is that every son and daughter of God throughout the whole of creation will be able to learn what happens without ever having to personally experience the pain and suffering we are creating. And our Father, Mother God said that means we are literally creating a new octave of godhood. And the sons and daughters of God through all creation will never again delve into the depths of pain and suffering that humanity on earth has experienced. So when we completed that ascension through the 13th gateway, and those old doors were sealed, never again will humanity descend into that level of pain and suffering. And we are now in the crystalline fields of the new earth. And what is happening now is that the transfiguration codes are being activated within our 12 solar strands of DNA from our I am presence. And that is activating within the earthly bodies of humanity the divine body template. This divine body template reflects the immaculate concept of our fifth dimensional crystalline solar-like bodies of God's infinite perfection. We are going through a divine alchemy of transfiguring our carbon-based planetary cells into fifth dimensional crystalline-based solar light cells. Now we are no longer connected at that level with those frequencies of the old earth, and we are beginning to experience that new higher crystalline frequency, and it is allowing our divine body template to be encoded within our four earthly bodies, because now our fifth dimensional crystalline solar spine has been activated, and we are moving in to higher frequencies of pure light. What the beings of light want us to understand is that after that event took place, we went through an incredibly powerful triple eclipse series that began on June 5th and was greatly amplified on the June solstice and the June 21st, and was completed on July 4th. That eclipse series integrated this divine body template into our earthly bodies. And it is because that the enslavement codes have been eliminated and the karmic birth template has been transformed and the cords have been severed that connected us to that grossly mutated karmic birth template have been completed, and our transfiguration codes have been activated, and now our divine body template is integrating through us. That is why it was possible when we moved through the Lion's Gate on August 8th, for the first time since the fall of humanity eons ago, for the I am presence of every man, woman, and child to be able to raise the vibration of each one of us to a frequency that would allow our I am presence to fully integrate, taking dominion now of our physical, etheric, mental, and emotional bodies. Now, when we look in the outer world, we see all kinds of evidence of people acting out of that fragmented and fear-based human ego, even though we have transcended that discordant frequency. What the beings of light want us to understand is that the ego is no longer able to manipulate us through the gross templates and enslavement codes and the gross karmic template. What is happening now is that we still have free will, and we still have the ability to use our creative faculties of thought and feeling. So what is happening is that humanity is acting out of the habit and the familiar patterns of what we used to experience. So we are often acting out of those old greed, corruption, mean, and selfish patterns out of habit, not because the ego has connected with us any longer. So that we can understand what it means to move into the full embrace of this new fifth dimensional crystalline solar light body, I want to just share with you this example because it helps us to understand. So many people have been through the near-death experience. And I was a marriage and family counselor for 20 years, and lots of people would describe this experience to me. And it was so similar with every single person, regardless of their affiliations or their religious beliefs or their nationalities or their gender or their financial situation. Everybody was having almost identical experiences. So I began researching through every avenue that I could find what the outer world demonstration was. And it was identical in almost everyone. And nowadays, people that are in the hospital have electrodes taped to them. And so they're able to test that all signs, all brainwave activity, all respiration, all bodily functions, the electronic light that beats our heart and flows through our body and our acupuncture meridians, that everything has flatlined. And the people will be gone for sometimes a few minutes, sometimes as much as 45 minutes. And they come back with no brain damage, with these incredible stories of what they've experienced. And the thing that I want you to hear now is that consistently what they are sharing with us is that when they go into the realms of light, they pass through a dark tunnel. And that dark tunnel is nothing more than negative energy, the psychic astral realm around the earth of humanity's fear-based consciousness and our human ego that is waiting for us to transmute back into light. And it is becoming more rarefied and more clear as more and more people are invoking the violet flame and transmuting that light. But once they get through that psychic astral realm into the light, they are met by their loved ones that have crossed over. If they have a specific spiritual religious affiliation, they're often met by the beings of light that they can relate to and identify with. But consistently, when they meet their loved ones on the other side, they are vibrating in their prime, vibrantly healthy, regardless of what the condition of their physical body was when they left the third dimensional physical plane of Earth. And the reason for that is that they are in their fifth dimensional crystalline solar light bodies. These bodies vibrate at a frequency that transcends aging and death and disease and the things that we experience as maladies and dysfunction in our lower bodies. They also aren't struggling from morning till night to put food on the table or to pay their mortgages. They're able to draw the fifth dimensional crystalline solar light and manifest their needs in that dimension. So our loved ones have moved on. We are moving into the fifth dimension, and those that we thought of as being in the heavenly realms, which was the fifth dimension at that time, are in the process of ascending into the sixth dimension, even into higher, more rarefied, wonderful frequencies of light. And we, in turn, are ascending into the fifth dimension and taking over those frequencies of our crystalline light bodies. So what is happening today with the full balance of the Divine Mother now expanded through every heart flame is that we are going to participate in an activity of light by watching this beautiful video. And this video has been building in momentum for over a decade in preparation for this cosmic moment, when the masses of humanity would be in a position through the perfect balance of the masculine polarity of our Father God's divine will and the feminine polarity of our Mother God's divine love, to awaken within them through their I am presence, which is now fully integrated, to awaken their crown chakra of enlightenment to new levels of consciousness that will allow them to perceive what the human ego really is through the eyes of their I am presence, and love that aspect of their fallen fear-based consciousness back into the light. This is the final step of preparation that will be done today for the activity of light that will follow when the beings of light will activate within the cellular structures of every person on Earth the highest fifth dimensional crystalline frequencies of our solar light bodies that we are capable of receiving. This will be a quantum shift into higher frequencies of vibration. And the beings of light have said it is a critical facet in preparing the masses of humanity to be able to receive the intensity of light that our Father, Mother God will reflect through our planetary grid for our planetary reboot in the next few days of this ascension process. So if you will breathe in deeply and go within to the divinity of your heart flame. This is a video that I would like you to watch and listen carefully to these words. This is a multi-dimensional, multi-frequency activity of light through color, through visualizations, through music, and through the spoken word that will allow your human ego to trust the words of your I Am presence effectively enough to release the residue of its manipulation and control, clearing the memories from the etheric records and allowing it to be loved into the light. Breathing in deeply again, exhaling and taking deep, rhythmic, gentle breaths as you watch this activity of light, knowing that we are participating as surrogates on behalf of every man, woman, and child belonging to or serving the earth at this time, whether he or she is in or out of embodiment. And we begin. Through the unified consciousness of every man, woman, and child on earth, I invoke the violet flame of God's infinite perfection and the divine qualities of liberty, divine justice, freedom, and victory. These powerful gifts from the heart of our Father, Mother God will help to burst the bonds of humanity's fear-based and manipulative human egos as we clear the way for the expansion of the I Am presence within every person's heart flame. I now breathe in deeply and empty my mind of all of the thoughts of the day. I am relaxed and peaceful as I go within to the divinity of my heart. I am one with all life, and as I am lifted up, all life is being lifted up with me. I have walked through the difficult challenges in my various earthly sojourns into the glory of a new day, filled with the full gathered momentum of heaven on earth. Victory is mine. Victory is mine. Victory is mine. The perfect balance of our Father, Mother God has returned to earth, and the I Am presence of every person is standing in readiness, awaiting the opportunity to take full dominion of our thoughts, words, actions, and feelings. With this inner knowing, I realize it is humanity's responsibility to become the full manifestation of our I Am presence while we are still embodied on earth. This literally means releasing our lower human egos into the light and integrating our I Am presence into our physical, etheric, mental, and emotional bodies. Daily and hourly, the light of God is increasing on earth. This is accelerating the integration of every person's I Am presence at an atomic cellular level. As this occurs, every electron, every atom, every subatomic particle and wave of humanity's earthly bodies, and all of the spaces in between the atoms and molecules of our bodies are being filled with God's light. This is a unique gift, a sacred opportunity, and it is being presented to every man, woman, and child on earth, right here and right now. I contemplate this truth, and as this sacred knowledge resonates within me, I experience the flame of divinity within my heart as it expands and expands. The divine balance of love, wisdom, and power that pulsates through this threefold flame in my heart is now enveloping my 4 earthly bodies. Within the embrace of my heart flame, my I Am presence lovingly commands my lower human ego to release my physical, etheric, mental, and emotional bodies. Lower human ego, I am the I Am presence of your being. I love you, and I am grateful for the opportunity you have provided for growth and learning in this physical plane. But it is now time for you to release these earthly bodies and to move into the light. Lower human ego, with the divine power and love that I am, I now command you into the light. Human ego, release my physical body and return to the light. Release my physical body and return to the light. Release my physical body and return to the light. Release my etheric body and return to the light. Release my etheric body and return to the light. Release my etheric body and return to the light. Release my mental body and return to the light. Release my mental body and return to the light. Release my mental body and return to the light. Release my emotional body and return to the light. Release my emotional body and return to the light. Release my emotional body and return to the light. Lower human ego, I now love you free. Ascend into the higher schools of learning and be transformed into God's perfection. My I Am presence now steps into the full authority of my 4 earthly bodies and lifts me in energy, vibration, and consciousness into the 5th dimensional frequencies of God's infinite perfection. Here I live, move, and breathe within my I Am presence, and I clearly perceive that I am one with all life. I now know that even though my feet are planted firmly on earth, simultaneously I am one with all of the ascended realms of light. I am liberating God's light into every physical and chemical interaction within my earthly bodies, healing and restoring all of the energy bonds between atoms and within atoms to vibrant health and infinite perfection. Contained within this divine light is everything necessary to heal my earthly bodies and the entire physical realm of this precious planet. This light contains everything necessary to set straight the orbit, spin, and electronic charge of every cell, atom, and electron of life on Earth. Now within my I Am presence, I am the divine qualities of liberty, divine justice, freedom, and victory, freeing humanity and all of the energy bonds within humanity, which include the relationships and the interactions of all people, all races, all religions, all organizations, and all nations. I am liberating these interactions into the harmony of a higher order of being, thus expanding the influence of humanity's I Am presence on Earth. I know this higher reality within my heart and mind, and I am a calm ocean of these divine qualities flooding the Earth. Through my I Am presence, I am a living, light-filled temple of invincible, perfect health, eternal youth, vitality, joy, and God's infinite abundance. And I am grateful. I am grateful. I am eternally grateful to my beloved Father, Mother, God, all that is, I am. And so it is. Thank you for your willingness to be the open door for this incredibly important facet of the unfolding divine plan. Now I want to share with you the next facet of this monumental activity of light and this incredible opportunity we have to assist every person evolving on this planet, as well as the elemental kingdom and Mother Earth, into higher rarefied frequencies of fifth dimensional crystalline solar light, which transcends all of the maladies of our human miscreations. Yesterday, we mentioned the fact that we began by our I Am presence descending into the fifth dimension where it eternally remains, and projecting a step-down frequency of itself into the fourth dimension, known as our solar Christ presence, and the solar Christ presence projecting a denser frequency down into the third dimension, which reflects the sevenfold chakra system in the physical plane of Earth. Our I Am presence and our solar Christ presence and our third dimensional planetary Christ presence are all aspects of our own divinity that are now beginning to merge and become one. But in the beginning, our planetary Christ presence magnetized the unformed primal light. After activating the seven chakras, our right and left brain hemispheres, the threefold flame in our heart, our spiritual brain centers, we magnetize the unformed primal light to form the vehicles that we would use to navigate around in the physical plane. These are our four or earthly bodies: our physical body, which we are very aware of, our etheric body, our mental body, and our emotional bodies. When we fell, our ego came to believe that was who we are, is these four earthly bodies. But there is nothing further from the truth. Our four earthly bodies are the vehicle that we use to navigate around in the physical plane. The physical body we're very aware of, and we can easily see, and we know that we have all of our cells and organs and how it functions in this physical plane. It is associated with the earth element. The etheric body extends a little beyond the physical body and is associated with the air element. It is known as the seat of all memory, and every thought, word, action, or feeling we send forth through our thoughts and feelings on electromagnetic currents of energy, pass through our etheric body, and are recorded in this etheric body. There is a portion of this vehicle that goes with us lifetime after lifetime. So our etheric body is actually our own personal Akashic records. The Akashic records that we refer to that contain everything that happens on Earth is the etheric body of Mother Earth. So in addition to our etheric body that interpenetrates our physical body, and there's different cells and organs associated, etheric counterparts. For instance, when someone has a limb amputated, they often will experience what they know of as phantom pain and still feel sensations in that limb. That's because the etheric portion of that body still exists. Gradually, those ethers dissipate without the support of the physical limb, so the pain often then dissipates. We also then have the mental body, which is our link of mind in the world of thought. The physical body is associated with the earth element, the etheric body is associated with the air element, and the mental body is associated with the fire element. There's a lot of discussion in the field of science of whether our brain and our mind are one and the same or two different things. And our Father, Mother, God, and the company of heaven want us to clearly understand our brain and our mind are two different things. Our mental body and our mind is always whole and complete. It is connected to the divine mind of God and our I am presence. Our physical brain structure is the instrument that our mind uses to transmit thoughts into the physical plane. And our physical brain structure can be damaged or chemically imbalanced or dysfunctional in some way, but our mind is always whole and complete. So no matter what the soul is going through, no matter how inhibited they may be from being able to transmit their thoughts and feelings and words into the physical plane through a damaged brain, they are always experiencing all of the experiences through the thought process, and everything is being recorded in their etheric body. We then have also our emotional body, which is our largest vehicle and is associated with the water element. 80% of our energy is released through our emotional body, and 80% of our energies are reflected through our thoughts, words, actions, and feelings. So these four bodies are the car we drive. It is not who we are. We are a magnificent son or daughter of God. And what is happening at this time is that the distortion of our lower human ego and all of that fear-based consciousness of dog eat dog and looking out for number one and the hoarding and the greed and the corruption and the us against them and the prejudice and the hatred, all of that is based in that horrifically distorted belief that its purpose and reason for being was to gratify the physical senses of the four earthly bodies, because that is who it is. Now that is being transcended, and that energy is no longer able to manipulate and control us in the way that it has in the past. Now with the I am presence fully integrated, and all humanity beginning to experience the initial frequencies of the fifth dimensional crystalline fields of the new earth. Our I am presence has activated our fifth dimensional crystalline solar spine. Our third dimensional sevenfold planetary spine several years ago was magnetized through the ascension process into alignment with our fourth dimensional 12 solar chakras of our solar Christ presence. And now, through the process of moving into higher and higher frequencies, our I am presence has breathed both of those lower frequencies They have merged and become one with our fifth dimensional crystalline solar spine. The light flowing through them are flowing through our 12 fifth dimensional crystalline solar strands of DNA. And that light is intensifying on Earth. The ego can no longer control us. We have the free will to act out of those old habits and what's familiar. But now the human I am presence, the magnificent I am presence that is radiating through every heart flame, is no longer just the still small voice that used to struggle to be heard through the clamor and the resistance of our outer human ego. It is more tangibly a conscious, intuitive inner knowing that is coming to the fore. And those old patterns of hate and prejudice and discrimination and all of those things that we're seeing now in the outer world, because they are being pushed to the surface to be healed and transmuted back into light, all of those old patterns are just the residue of the lower human ego. What humanity is going to clearly understand once the once the I am presence takes full dominion on a more tangible conscious level, as it is day by day as we move through this process. Some of these people that have these distorted perceptions are not going to like what they learn about that. Because the reality is, as I have said, that our earthly bodies are merely the car that we drive in this physical plane. And going through the earthly experiences and learning the various things that we needed to learn to move forward and to return to Christ consciousness and our higher level. We volunteered to go through all kinds of experience. And the beings of light said, in the vast majority of instances, every single person on the planet has been everything and probably done everything. So at this moment, for us to be feeling superior because of the color of the car we drive, or because of our particular religion, or because of our particular nationality, or a particular lifestyle that we have, or a socioeconomic style that we have, is not only ludicrous, it's actually comical if it wasn't so very serious and creating so much pain. So saying that we are superior because we drive a white car, and that you are inferior because you drive a brown car or another color car, is absolutely the same as it would be if we were saying that about our actual cars in this physical plane. We are not the car we drive. We are a being of light within the car, and it is that being of light that we are focusing on now. And every single one of those beings of light is a magnificent, radiant son or daughter of God. And they are not the fragmented, distorted, mutated, gross distortion of reality that our human ego has perpetuated. So the reason that our loved ones, when we saw them in the heavenly realms through near-death experiences, are pulsating in their prime and their brilliant light bodies, no aging or disease or disintegration, is because they are vibrating in fifth dimensional crystalline solar light bodies. And in those vehicles, they have 5 elemental vortices through which higher frequencies of fifth dimensional crystalline elemental substance flows. There is an elemental vortex that pulsates above their head that is known as the ether vortex and pulsates with highest fifth dimensional crystalline frequencies of the ether substance. In the area of the throat chakra is the air vortex that pulsates with fifth dimensional crystalline frequencies of the air element. In the center of their chest, in the area of their sternum, They have the fire vortex, which is associated with the mental body and pulsates with fifth dimensional crystalline frequencies of the elements of fire. And in the area of the root chakra at the base of the spine is the water element, which pulsates the water vortex and is the emotional body. And that energy pulsates with fifth dimensional crystalline frequencies of the water element. And the earth element pulsates in the vortex between their feet and our feet. This is the fifth dimensional vortex that pulsates with crystalline frequencies of the earth element. And throughout our sojourn in the fifth dimensional frequencies, those elemental vortices are going to be open and receiving from the higher elemental kingdom, the Elohim and the directors of the elements and the divine intelligence in the elemental kingdom, the crystalline pure frequencies of light that will sustain our fifth dimensional crystalline solar light bodies. We also have the full expansion of our fifth dimensional crystalline solar spine. And the mighty Elohim have formed a tremendous crown above the earth with 12 points, each one drawing forth one of the 12 solar aspects of deity. And the mighty Elohim have guided the I Am presence of every person to create that magnificent, a replica of that magnificent crown on the head of every person. So every person is now in a position to receive the 12 solar aspects of deity, to radiate them through the 12 chakras in our fifth dimensional crystalline solar spine. And all of that light will then reflect through our physical, etheric, mental, and emotional crystalline solar light bodies, maintaining them at those higher frequencies. So today, in preparation for our magnificent planetary reboot, for the very first time since the fall of humanity, the I Am presence of every single person has fully integrated and taken full dominion of the physical, etheric, mental, and emotional bodies of humanity. The enslavement codes and the karmic birth template, the cords to those energies, have been severed and can no longer in any way affect the earthly bodies of humanity at this time. And the fifth dimensional 12 solar aspects of deity and the 12 fifth dimensional crystalline solar strands of DNA are now in position to be activated through our body. So today, with the human ego removed in ways we have not experienced since the fall of humanity, for every single person on earth, whether he or she is in or out of embodiment, our Father, Mother, God, the mighty Elohim, the directors of the elements, and the legions of light throughout infinity are going to project the fifth dimensional crystalline solar light through our planetary grid to activate these centers within every person in previously unknown ways. We are now in the fluid crystalline fields, the initial impulses of the new earth. And these energies will be energized and sustained now by our I Am presence and our body elemental, the divine intelligence within our physical, etheric, mental, and emotional body, to maintain these energies as we move forward into the next phase of our planetary reboot and Earth's ascension. So to begin this process, if you would, breathe in deeply. feeling yourself going within to the divinity of your heart, experiencing your mighty I Am presence, taking full dominion of your thoughts, words, actions, and feelings. The luminous presence of this magnificent being of light is enveloping your 4 earthly bodies. Your 5th dimensional crystalline solar spine is fully activating from the crown chakra at the top of your head through all the additional chakras down to the 12th chakra at the root center of your spine. All of your 5 elemental vortices are standing in readiness to receive this light. Please follow me through this activation with the full power of your attention, knowing that you are serving as a surrogate on behalf of every man, woman, and child. This is occurring because we have reached a critical mass of light on this planet that is allowing this to occur through the earthly bodies in the new frequencies of the 5th dimension of every person evolving on this planet. Inhaling, exhaling, and we begin. I am my I Am presence, and I am one with the I Am presence of every person on earth. But I invoke for myself this day, I invoke for every man, woman, and child in perfect alignment with their divine plan and the highest good for all concerned. I also invoke this influx of light on behalf of the elemental kingdom and beloved Mother Earth. Now, under the direction of our Father, Mother God, the mighty Elohim, who are the builders of form, and the directors of the 5 elements, take their strategic positions in preparation for this powerful activity of light. The directors of the air element and the sylphs of the air take their position at the cardinal point to the north of this blessed planet. The directors of the water element and the undines of the water take their positions at the cardinal point to the east. The directors of the earth element and the nature spirits of the earth take their positions at the cardinal point to the south. The directors of the fire element and the salamanders of the fire take their positions at the cardinal point to the west. The directors of the ether element and the devas and deva rajas of the ethers take their position within the sun of even pressure in the center of the earth. Now, the mighty Elohim, standing above the earth in the 12-pointed crown of the Elohim, sound a cosmic tone, signaling to humanity's I Am presence and our body elemental that the time has come to accelerate the divine alchemy taking place within our physical, etheric, mental, and emotional earthly bodies. Every person's I Am presence has fully integrated into his or her earthly bodies, and all is in readiness. As I breathe in and out deeply and rhythmically, I clearly see the elemental vortices pulsating within my earthly bodies. These centers are becoming swirling vortices of divine light. There are 5 of these vortices, each one specifically designed to nourish and empower one of the 5 fifth-dimensional crystalline elements within my crystalline solar light bodies. I begin focusing my attention on the ether vortex, which is pulsating above my head. I breathe the holy breath into the center of the ether vortex, and I affirm with deep feeling, I am that I am. I am that I am. I am that I am. The light of God now expands and expands through my ether vortex, and I receive brand new fifth-dimensional frequencies of crystalline solar light from the very heart of my Father, Mother, God through this ether vortex. I now focus the full power of my attention on the air vortex, which is pulsating within the location of my throat chakra. I breathe the holy breath into the center of the air vortex, and I affirm with deep feeling, I am the breath of the Holy Spirit. I am the breath of the Holy Spirit. I am the breath of the Holy Spirit. The light of God now expands and expands through my air vortex, and I receive brand new frequencies of fifth-dimensional crystalline solar light from the very heart of my Father, Mother, God through my air vortex. I now focus the full power of my attention on the fire vortex, which is pulsating within the location of my sternum in the center of my chest. I breathe the holy breath into the center of the fire vortex, and I affirm with deep feeling, I am the sacred fire breath of the Almighty. I am the sacred fire breath of the Almighty. I am the sacred fire breath of the Almighty. The light of God now expands and expands through my fire vortex, and I receive brand new frequencies of fifth-dimensional crystalline solar light from the very heart of my Father, Mother, God through my fire vortex. I now focus the full power of my attention on the water vortex, which is pulsating within the location of my root chakra at the base of my spine. I breathe the holy breath into the center of the water vortex, and I affirm with deep feeling, I am the harmony of my true being. I am the harmony of my true being. I am the harmony of my true being. The light of God now expands and expands through my water vortex, and I receive brand new frequencies of fifth-dimensional crystalline solar light from the very heart of my Father, Mother, God through my water vortex. I now focus the full power of my attention on the earth vortex, which is pulsating between my feet. I breathe the holy breath into the center of the earth vortex, and I affirm with deep feeling, I am the master of my physical reality. I am the master of my physical reality. I am the master of my physical reality. The light of God now expands and expands through my earth vortex, and I receive brand new frequencies of fifth dimensional crystalline solar light from the very heart of my Father, Mother, God through my earth vortex. Now I am ready to amplify the 12 fifth dimensional crystalline solar aspects of deity that are pulsating through the crown of the Elohim above the earth and the crown of the Elohim upon my head, and the magnificent circle of the sacred 12 that flows through each of my 12 fifth dimensional crystalline solar chakras. Each chakra pulsates with all 12 solar aspects of deity. But through the divine intervention of my I Am Presence and the mighty Elohim, each of these aspects of deity is now being activated into higher frequencies of fifth dimensional crystalline solar light than I have ever experienced. This identical activity of light is occurring through the fifth dimensional crystalline solar spine of every person evolving on this blessed planet. Mighty Elohim and the directors of the elements, I ask that you now breathe the most intensified frequencies of the 12 fifth dimensional crystalline solar aspects of deity that cosmic law will allow through the 12-pointed crown of the Elohim that is pulsating above the earth, and the 12-pointed crown of the Elohim that is pulsating upon the head of every person. As I invoke each aspect of deity, blaze this exquisite divine light through every person's fifth dimensional solar spine and our 12 fifth dimensional crystalline solar chakras. I now invoke the first solar aspect of deity, which is sapphire blue. The divine qualities associated with the first solar aspect of deity are God's will, illumined faith, power, protection, and God's first cause of perfection. This is the ray of light that reflects the masculine polarity of our Father God. As this light flows through my spine, all 12 of my fifth dimensional chakras become blazing sapphire blue suns of light. I now invoke the second solar aspect of deity, which is yellow gold. The divine qualities associated with the second solar aspect of deity are enlightenment, wisdom, illumination, and constancy. This is the ray of light that reflects the Christ consciousness of the sons and daughters of God. As this light flows through my spine, all 12 of my fifth dimensional chakras become yellow gold suns of blazing light. I now invoke the third solar aspect of deity, which is crystalline pink. The divine qualities associated with the third solar aspect of deity are transfiguring divine love, oneness, reverence for all life, adoration, and tolerance. This is the ray of light that reflects the feminine polarity of our Mother God, the Holy Spirit. As this light flows through my spine, all 12 of my fifth dimensional chakras become blazing crystalline pink suns of light. I now invoke the fourth solar aspect of deity, which is white. The divine qualities associated with the fourth solar aspect of deity are purity, hope, restoration, renewal, resurrection, ascension, and the Immaculate Concept. As this light flows through my spine, all 12 of my fifth dimensional chakras become blazing white suns of light. I now invoke the fifth solar aspect of deity, which is emerald green. The divine qualities associated with the fifth solar aspect of deity are illumined truth, healing, consecration, concentration, and inner vision. As this light flows through my spine, all 12 of my fifth dimensional chakras become blazing emerald green suns of light. I now invoke the sixth solar aspect of deity, which is ruby gold. The divine qualities associated with the sixth solar aspect of deity are divine grace, healing, devotional worship, peace, and the manifestation of the Christ. As this light flows through my spine, all 12 of my fifth dimensional chakras become blazing ruby gold suns of light. I now invoke the seventh solar aspect of deity, which is violet. The divine qualities associated with the seventh solar aspect of deity are mercy, compassion, forgiveness, transmutation, liberty, justice, freedom, victory, glory, and God's infinite perfection. This is the ray of light that reflects the perfect balance of the masculine and feminine polarities of our Father, Mother God. The violet flame of God's infinite perfection will be the predominant frequency of light bathing the earth during the Aquarian age, which we have now entered. As this light flows through my spine, all 12 of my fifth dimensional chakras become blazing violet suns of light. I now invoke the eighth solar aspect of deity, which is aquamarine. The divine qualities associated with the eighth solar aspect of deity are clarity, divine perception, discernment, and understanding. As this light flows through my spine, All 12 of my fifth dimensional chakras become blazing aquamarine suns of light. I now invoke the ninth solar aspect of deity, which is magenta. The divine qualities associated with the ninth solar aspect of deity are harmony, balance, assurance, and God confidence. As this light flows through my spine, all 12 of my fifth dimensional chakras become blazing magenta suns of light. I now invoke the 10th solar aspect of deity, which is gold. The divine qualities associated with the 10th solar aspect of deity are eternal peace, prosperity, abundance, and the God's supply of all good things. As this light flows through my spine, all 12 of my fifth dimensional chakras become blazing golden suns of light. I now invoke the 11th solar aspect of deity, which is peach. The divine qualities associated with the 11th solar aspect of deity are divine purpose, enthusiasm, and joy. As this light flows through my spine, all 12 of my fifth dimensional chakras become blazing peach suns of light. I now invoke the 12th solar aspect of deity, which is opal. The divine qualities associated with the 12th solar aspect of deity are transformation and transfiguration. As this light flows through my spine, all 12 of my fifth dimensional chakras become blazing opal suns of light. This new higher frequency of fifth dimensional crystalline solar light from the very heart of my Father, Mother God is now secured through all 12 of my fifth dimensional crystalline solar chakras. My I Am presence now gently returns each of my chakra to all 12 of the balanced frequencies which pulsate simultaneously as the activity of light known as the circle of the sacred 12. All 12 chakras pulsating with all 12 aspects of deity. Whenever I choose to expand one or more of these chakras, I simply ask, for instance, for the pink radiance of divine love, and all 12 of my chakras become blazing pink suns of light. When my I Am presence perceives that enough love has been emitted, my chakras are all returned to the balanced frequency of all 12 aspects of deity through the circle of the sacred 12. Now, with brand new frequencies of fifth dimensional crystalline solar light flowing through my 5 elemental vortices and my 12 fifth dimensional crystalline solar chakras, my I Am presence is ready and able to recalibrate the cellular structures of my earthly bodies into higher frequencies of light than I have ever experienced in preparation for Mother Earth's impending planetary reboot. This activity of light, this cosmic moment, is greatly accelerating the divine alchemy taking place within the core of purity in every atomic and subatomic particle and wave of the cellular structures of my physical, etheric, mental, and emotional bodies. Now, in the full embrace of our Father, Mother, God's love, this recalibration is taking place through the unified efforts of heaven and earth. It is occurring within the cellular structures of the earthly bodies of every man, woman, and child, and the earthly bodies of the entire elemental kingdom, the earth, the air, the water, the fire, and the ether substances, and all of the divine intelligence associated with the elemental kingdom. And it is simultaneously occurring within the earthly bodies, the physical, etheric, mental, and emotional strata of beloved Mother Earth. And we begin. I am my I am presence, and I am one with the I am presence of all humanity. As one voice, one breath, one heartbeat, and one energy, vibration, and consciousness of pure divine love, we invoke our Father, Mother, God, and the legions of light throughout infinity who have come to help us during this essential planetary reboot, which we are co-creating on behalf of humanity, the elemental kingdom, and Mother Earth this sacred and holy week. Beloved ones, come forth now. I command that this new frequency of fifth dimensional crystalline solar light from the very heart of our Father, Mother, God, the core of creation, now accelerate exponentially the divine alchemy that is transfiguring our carbon-based earthly bodies into fifth dimensional crystalline-based solar light bodies. This is occurring through every person's I am presence in perfect alignment with his or her divine plan and the highest good for all concerned. This activity of light is a critical facet of humanity's preparation for the intensity of light that we are being called to reflect through beloved Mother Earth in our planetary reboot. I first perceive my crystalline etheric solar light body. This is the vehicle that is encoded with my full divine potential, my etheric records and memories, and my divine plan. My etheric body is associated with the air element. As the cellular structures of my etheric body are recalibrated, my Mother God, the Holy Spirit, now baptizes my crystalline etheric solar light body with sacred fire. This blessing seals the new fifth dimensional frequencies of the air element within the core of purity in every particle and wave of this vehicle, and a scintillating force field of infinite perfection is formed. My crystalline emotional solar light body now comes into view. This vehicle is associated with the water element. This is the body through which the love nature of my Mother and Father God is expressed in the world of form. It is the most powerful vehicle. 80% of my life force is expressed through my emotional body. My I Am presence and my fifth dimensional body elemental now take command of this vehicle. As they do, the full divine momentum of my Father, Mother, God's love begins to flow through my heart flame. The love of God expands through my crystalline emotional solar light body and forms a cosmic force field of divine love that encompasses the entire planet Earth. My Mother God now baptizes my most powerful crystalline emotional solar light body with sacred fire. My emotional world is now filled with God's infinite love and all of the various aspects of God's wondrous love. This blessing seals the new fifth dimensional frequencies of the water element within this vehicle, and a scintillating force field of infinite perfection is formed. Now, my crystalline physical solar light body comes to the fore. My physical body is associated with the earth element. The limitless physical perfection of my I Am presence is reflected in my crystalline physical solar light body. My I Am presence and my fifth dimensional body elemental take command of this vehicle. My crystalline physical solar light body is composed of fifth dimensional crystalline cells that are absorbing the new frequencies of light now flowing through my 12 fifth dimensional solar chakras and my 5 elemental vortices. My Mother God now baptizes my crystalline physical solar light body with sacred fire. The infinite physical perfection of my I Am presence is permanently secured in the cellular structures of my physical body. This blessing seals the new fifth dimensional frequencies of the earth element within this vehicle, and a scintillating force field of infinite perfection is formed. My crystalline mental solar light body now reveals itself to me. This vehicle is associated with the fire element. My crystalline mental solar light body is one with the divine mind of God. My I Am presence and my fifth dimensional body elemental take command of this vehicle, causing it to blaze like a great sun of light, forming a halo around my head. As the halo of light expands through my mental body, it encompasses all of my crystalline solar light bodies, and I am a radiant sun of infinite light. My Father, Mother God activate my divine mind, and I begin to clearly receive divine thoughts, ideas, concepts, imagination, and all aspects of intuition and divine mind beyond imagination. All of these reflections of divine intelligence and divine mind are now anchoring and reflecting into my outer consciousness as divine enlightenment. My Mother God now baptizes my crystalline mental solar light body with sacred fire. This blessing seals the new fifth dimensional frequencies of the fire element within this vehicle, and a scintillating force field of infinite physical perfection is formed. I am my I am presence, and I am one with the I am presence of every person on earth. On this sacred and holy day, in preparation for the impending planetary reboot, every person's I am presence has now God victoriously recalibrated and integrated our etheric, emotional, physical, and mental fifth dimensional crystalline solar light bodies into our earthly bodies. This has occurred through the divine intervention of the I Am Presence, our body elemental, and the entire company of heaven at a deep cellular level, in perfect alignment with every person's divine plan and our highest good. And so it is. Beloved, I am. Beloved, I am. Beloved, I am. Thank you, precious heart. This is a monumental moment in the evolution of this planet, that every person's I am presence has been holding the sacred space for eons of time. This is a gift beyond the comprehension of our finite minds. But when we began this decade in January, the company of heaven said we are going to experience activities of light through the divine intervention of the company of heaven that have never before been attempted in any system of worlds. We had no idea what that meant at the time, but within a week, we started experiencing the outer world manifestation of COVID-19 and a forced planetary time out on a global scale that allowed the I am presence of every man, woman, and child to be heard with new ears and seen with new eyes through the quiet time of every person on this planet. And because we are one and there is no separation, those infinite number of beings on the planet that are holding the sacred space for Earth's ascension have held the sacred space for all of the magnificent, wondrous, essential workers that have had to work and not had a quiet time out. They have been involved in this unstoppable shift into higher and higher frequencies of vibration. The beings of light have said that as we move through this year, we will prove to ourselves the adage, know the truth, and the truth will set you free. The beings of light said, notice That statement is not, the truth will set you free. It is know the truth, and the truth will set you free. They have revealed to us that because we will, God victoriously succeed in this unprecedented planetary reboot and the ongoing unfoldment of this unique experiment, lifting every particle of life on Earth into the patterns of perfection for the new Earth. As we move through this time, the beings of light have revealed to us that because this success is resulting in an actual adjustment and a new octave of godhood for every child of God from this moment forth, that the greatest privilege and honor of any child of God in any level of evolution, in any system of worlds, is physical embodiment on planet Earth during this cosmic moment. So, precious one, as you allow this incredible activation and recalibration to be integrated through your body and simultaneously through the bodies of the entire family of humanity, the elemental kingdom, and Mother Earth during this 24-hour period, the remainder of this 22-hour period, be gentle with yourself, listen to your heart, respond to what your body is asking. If you need to rest, if you need to eat something particular, if you need to love or laugh or be in nature, whatever you are being guided to do, listen to that inner guidance, because your unique golden thread of light from all of the life experiences you have accumulated is critical to the success of this divine plan and is being woven into our chalice of light that is cradling this planet and all her life. So know that your light is essential to the planetary reboot, and our planetary reboot is essential to Earth's ascension in the light. God bless you, and I look forward to being with you for day 3 of our planetary reboot.